Well, yeah. Uh, Hi, Deliso. Welcome to the Horizon Forum, and happy to have you. Yeah, so my name is Joseph. On behalf of Kima and Tumelo, would like to learn more about what you do.
Thank you. This is just like dive right into it.
Maybe you can tell us a bit more about yourself. Who's Daliso?
So a
And
bit be like, oh hi, how's life? What do you hate about computer? Warm up, you don't warm up.
yeah, sure. We don't mind. You can start from there.
Okay, so I am what am I? I am I'm seeing two of myself. Hold on, let me go. Hi. So I am Daliso. I am a software engineer and I am the co-founder of Ideas Innovations. I don't know. That's a hard question. It's like when you meet someone and you're like, "Oh, hi, Daliso, tell me about yourself." Like, okay. So that's
Okay.
that's me.
Uh, can begin with a rewind. So before I did innovations, who was Taliso and what's been her journey like to finally co-found Ideate Innovations?
Oh, so you're asking the wrong questions, Joseph. You need to ask questions. I'm like, hi, Joseph. Who were you before you were you?
Actually begin from the what was that? The Google Google code, the hash code. Yeah. So how's been software engineering since then? I remember the the all-nighter hash code competition. That was the last time that we collaborated on a software. Um, I mean something that's like how's been your software development journey like uh and yeah, like maybe you can just tell us a bit more about like the different organizations and just a fun part of the journey, like how's it been for you, like
But
how's the ride
there's
going?
all the bad parts, like it's not like all fun. Anyways, was at TMI St. Eugene, and while there, I had the opportunity to join communities. So, like developer circles, I was usually joining their meetups. They were very fun. And during that process, I was with you and we found the Google hash code. I haven't even tried those things after that time because I was like, this is intense. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I attended lots of meetups. I think the meetups were good because you interact with people like software developers in Zambia and you learn about what they're doing with their journey. And you also learn about the different stacks, like outside of what we were being taught in school. We had the opportunity to. I'm trying to like put like a proper
18,
timeline.
17. I think that was 17
20
maybe.
Okay, so I think I should say my interest in computer programming started in 2013. In 2014, I had a course for international computer driving license. And then I was like, oh, computers are fun, they're okay. And then and computer engineering. I was like, maybe computer engineering. Like I'd like to see, because I thought like, oh, hardware is cool. I'd like to see what's the difference? Why do we have computer engineering and then we have computer science? It's like, okay, computer engineering. And then while there, I discovered that hardware sucks. Not like terribly, but like it's not the greatest. Because our class always seems to be in some. And I don't know how I first went to the meetups, like the online meetups, the FC, but I eventually joined Developer Circles. And while there, I also had access to communities like a scanner network. So during the DevC meetups, I would meet women who are doing programming from there. And the interest give me like small tasks, like, oh, this is our website, add colors to the website, make it more purple or something. And I got to have like more meetups through that. You need to start somewhere. CSS, HTC,
Yeah.
this is a part where HTML is the programming language.
Wow. That's being modest. Yeah.
Language, they were like, oh yeah, like really small tasks. It started with WordPress. I think the site used to be WordPress, so you'd have to interact with the WordPress site and kind of make small edits. And through that, I learned about opportunities like the Google Hashcode that we attended. I just don't remember how we applied for that one, but I got excited about how that works and like what work looks like. Then because I had I've just remembered we were working on this thing with CT together.
Yeah.
The other thing. So anyway, through the meetups and everything, I got an internship. No, I met Tite first. I got in touch with Tite. I think we had gone for, what was that? There was something that was the NASA Space Challenge at Hackers Guild. I was with Emma and Judith, some people from our class. And then I met Tite and she was talking about electronics. And then I was asking her questions. And then through her, like we had a conversation. She was like, oh, I have this thing that I ran for electronics where we teach people electronics and stuff. You can volunteer. And through her, I got an internship at Hackers Guild doing the industrial attachments, the periods for industrial attachments. And Hackers Guild was kind of, at that time, had many people, like they were in contact, they were like kind of in the middle of Bongo Hive and developers. So like it was a blooming community of developers. So like everyone who knows something or who doesn't camps going on. So that was fun. Like you get to learn more about. So because I was an intern, I don't have to pay for the classes, but I can sit in the class and listen and learn and pretend to teach sometimes. Like, oh yeah, no, explain classes. And then you're like, oh yeah, these are classes and everything. Yeah, that was in 20-something, 2017-ish, 26, maybe 2016. Then a little bit of confidence in programming. We went for the Google hash code. And I just remember it being intense, like, oh, solve the algorithm for the something and the box and the pizzas. I'm like, what is
Yeah, that was humiliating because
it's like, how do people do what's going on? I don't even remember what we did. I don't think we and something was submitted. And I know we're like 2 girls and the rest of you were guys. I was with Mambo.
Yeah.
And from there, I think I continued with Hackers Guild. I had like another, because we had another industrial attachment. So my next industrial attachment, did I go back? I went to Hackers Guild again, and there was more of the training, more of the computer. During that time, I also got to work with Girls Can Code. So during the internship, I was able to go to Mansa to teach girls how to code. So we were using Scratch and the Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and stuff, and all the other, how to make music using the laptop and everything. And then we also had the Raspberry Pis and the Arduino kits, so they could learn how to interact with electronics. They also learned basic Python and like a little bit of HTML, just so they can get an understanding of how the web works. My timeline is on what, 2017, still at 2017.
A lot happened in 2017.
Right? We're still in 2017. 2018, I think I had more school. I had less classes, but more school because of the projects. We had to do projects and the final year projects. And I was still doing things for like a scanner network. At that event with Maker Heart by Bongo Hive. Then there was a follow-up event. I don't think I made it. You traveled to Kafue for the electronics thing. 2018 was far. 2023 so far. Anyway, 2018. And then 2019, I graduated from DMI. At the time of my graduation, I was mostly not very actively, but kind of in the background of a scanner network, seeing how that goes, trying to find employment. 2019. So like the first half of 2019, I was battling with, just apply for any job. You can be in IT, in IT, just do it. Right? They're like, you studied IT, and not even specific. It's just like, you studied IT, so apply to be an IT officer in the government. And I'll be like, in a moment, I'll apply when I'm ready. So it's mostly trying out HTML because it's a programming language. I was also trying for, I think there's an internship I was trying to apply for at Bongo Hive, and they were using React Native. So I was between learning React Native and understanding JavaScript at that time. Then after I graduated, so November 2019, I graduated, still looking for an IT job. No. But the actual job I wanted.
Yeah.
And I met my business partner through LinkedIn, and she was talking about tech for good. So innovations that kind of help people, and so creating digital solutions that help people in the communities. So kind of Zambia, like for your community, or how to use tech for a good reason. And I was like, that's really cool. And then We reached the idea, right?
Yeah. First graduation.
Yes, I think like maybe a week after my graduation, and then we spoke about how to create ideas for tech, and she had an idea for, and I would definitely say that like 100 times through this
Oh,
conversation.
wait. We need to put the
Ready?
link. Yeah, we even need to put the link at the end of
Yes,
the thing. So what's the name?
please. Let's do good.
Let's
Let's do
let's
good.
do good. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. With an apostrophe or without an apostrophe?
Without an apostrophe. So it's LETS and then do good.
Cool.
If you'd like to view it on the website, it's let's do good Zambia. Oh, you can go to letsdogood.app to see the website, but it's available for download on Android and iOS.
Nice.
Anyway, so the inception of Let's Do Good was then around November, and that took a while. Like initially, I was like, "Oh, it's so easy. Make an app, make a website. Just do the thing, magic. I know HTML. How hard can it be?" Like, I know HTML. How hard can it really be? So that turned out to be something. Yeah, say something, because it's like web, and then like who thought web is like alone, and then there's more or React Native, or you go Android, like, oh yeah, no, we're going to create for Android alone, and then we'll create for iOS. But I had initially started with the web. I was like, HTML is so cool and everything. I sound like an advocate for HTML. Anyway, so we that was like our initial product. So create web and then a mobile app. So that took honestly some time, because in my head I'm like, it's just a website. It can't be that bad. Like, it's a website, but then it's a website and an app, and you have to test, and then you test again, and then you test again, because like it's never enough. Right? Yes. And then there's some features that are like, as you keep building, some features become relevant, more relevant, and others become less relevant. I could say it took, this is 2022. 2019. So in the inception was like 2019. So 2020 we start building in 2020. And then we were building for like a minute and everything. And the app was a prototype. Can I say a prototype? Was kind of ready at the end of 20. Is that even right? There were bits and pieces at the end of 2020. Into 2021, there was more testing to see what works and what's the best way to do it. It was officially launched at the beginning of 2022, so it was like January 2022. But the platforms had kind of been there since 2021 for the app, and I think 2020 for the website. So let's do good. Let's do good. I was working with FHI 360 on a youth lead project. which was because it's done, which was a project that got young graduates into internships. So like they had leadership training. So you apply and you're accepted. So you have leadership training, and then you have, according to what you applied for, they take it to an organization. So if you say studied health, that's a bad example. I don't have good examples for health. If you studied if you studied public relations, and
Yeah.
an organization wants a public relations intern, so they attach you to that organization and they pay for your internship. I was attached at FHI 360, so I was in charge of the web where people were applying from. So I was overlooking that platform from 2020, I think February 2020 to November 2021. That's a long time. After that, I was ideate. Like I am ideate. So ideate being the parent company of the Let's Do Good. I was
Yeah.
full-time ideate. I still am. And right now in my career, I am the co-founder of Ideate Innovation. And yeah, yeah, that's the journey. That's the journey for the most part. Oh, I have a side hustle. My side hustle is software developing at Infratel.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. And what? I was listening to news. Was it early? Oh, wait, today is a Monday. Can be early this week. Late last week, you launched what, Cloud9?
Oh, that's what I
Congratulations.
heard. I
Yeah.
heard that too. Infratel, those guys,
Yeah.
something about nine.
Mhm. Yeah. Well,
But
well,
I'll tell the people that work there, you said congratulations.
yeah. Wow, that's really great, and it's nice seeing how you sort of keep the vision of what you want to do, despite getting to have like a full-time job or working in a formal job, and you still keep you nurture it and you keep it growing, and I think that's something admirable and um something worth learning from just all of us. Um, yeah, I think the other thing I would like us to talk about is the looking at your journey, how you've made it, and of course, overall, you sort of brought out the fact that it's more than just waiting for the paper to do the work for you, but you need to show that passion. You, yeah, you put yourself forward. You make the first step. The community's taught you. You gained more knowledge outside of the classroom, even while you're in uni, which is something good. But what would you say about the perspective that it's a dicey career for someone within IT? Like, it's quite. Is it even a myth, or is it true that it's difficult to really make it within software development? How easy would you rate it, and what would one have to do to make it within software development?
I think you just have to generally have the interest, because if you're just there and you're waiting, because software development changes every day. So if I
Yeah.
sit today and I'm like, HTML is amazing. That's not the example I'm going to give. HTML. Okay, HTML doesn't change.
Yeah, it's so relatable. Yeah, I think everyone knows it.
So for software, constantly learn because it changes every day. I'd like to say every day it changes because while you are learning Node version 16, like you're using Node.js version 16 already. It's just that 16 is the LTS, so it's like the one that's the most stable. You're already aware there's another one that you're like 2 versions behind. Like you can't just do a once off like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn PHP today. Okay, people hate PHP, they might hate on it. I'm going to learn React today. And you learn the version that's stable now. But because the browsers have been updated, the version of React is being updated, the supported, like even whatever you learned, the what worked last year, this time last year, like just 6 months ago, easily breaks because everything in software, everything in your phone updates, it has software patches every 3 months. So you need to genuinely want to always learn more, like just keep updating what you know. It's not the easiest because you run into errors that you can't find the answer to on Stack Overflow sometimes, occasionally. If you decide to jump too fast, you're like, oh, I'm strong. I'm going to use Flutter version 3. And you're the first, maybe not the first one. The previous one was like like I think, in my opinion, Zambians don't document their errors. So the previous one was like me, a Zambian, who doesn't document their errors. I'm stuck. Like I'm at version 3 and I'm like, oh, this is my error. I don't know how I'm going to fix it, but it's there and it's going to be there for a while. So one, to always learn. Two, I'm being scared to say pre-documentation, which is not fun.
Yeah, yeah, true.
read, try and read through the documentation to get good understanding of your preferred tech stack. So if I use HTML, read, okay, HTML is easy. If you use React, like read about the basis of React, like start from JavaScript because that's where React started from. So start from, try and understand the foundation of that language. So when you find an error, you're able to easily debug it because you have an understanding of how, if it's JavaScript, like how JavaScript works. If you're working with Laravel, how PHP works. So like the basics of PHP, to kind of see how they came to using what they're using or why they chose to use those kinds of functions. So that helps. So if you want to learn anything, you just need to just want, like have the passion, create, keep creating. Like even if it's just like a landing page, create 10 landing, if you're exploring all the languages, create 10 landing pages, PHP, React, Flutter, in whatever language you want, and to practice often because it's really easy to forget. You'd be like, just give it like a 2 weeks timeout, 2 weeks, and you come back and you look at your code and you're like, who wrote this? This is terrible code. There are bugs everywhere and you don't even know how to fix it. And you're the one who wrote it. So to practice and also to join communities because there's a lot of support. People are probably having the errors that you're having. So be part of communities. So be it like DevC, even if it feels, I think sometimes it feels like the communities, people are just showing off or they're showing their skills, but it just feels like, oh, I made this. But like if you interact with those people, you'd be able to learn their struggles. Like you would learn from how they had difficulties in implementing stuff, or the best way or the fastest way to implement some of the errors we are likely to have. So, did I answer your question, or did I go off
Yeah.
track?
No, you did. So the key thing is actually interest. So of course, maybe like yeah, and maybe just add on like to the part of interest. So in the previous podcast that we had, like the previous recording, our guest had spoken about having a curious mind as well. I think this is something that could also help someone starting up or trying to grow within their career in software development. You did a project with you with the US embassy, right? Maybe you could just share something about that, and
Which
you
one?
had
I
appeared a
don't
few
know.
times.
I don't know what you're talking about. Which one? No, I don't think that was me. Are you sure? With the US
Ah,
Embassy?
okay. Okay, maybe it's a spread. I thought it was both. You also
Oh,
did it.
it was a leadership training. Maybe it's like the same thing I was talking about, youth lead. So I was part of that training, and they were
Mm.
training us on leadership, so civil engagement. What's in leadership training? I don't even remember my training. Staff, entrepreneurship, and public speaking. So how to engage with people and how to grow your businesses. So we had like a whole. You had to create a value proposition. So I had training, leadership training, just training on how to be better leaders and how to be more active as youths in governance and in public matters that are affecting everyone. That's the one program for USA that I remember. I'm sure there are some for like a scanner network that I might have attended that I can't recall off the top of my head, but the
A
most
newspaper
recent one I
actually.
remember.
In the newspaper, I think you appeared a few times in the newspaper.
Oh, me? Oh my God. Yes, for Ascana Network. So that was
Yeah.
mostly on my work with Ascana Network.
Like which one to look at. Yeah. And
Right?
okay, so yeah, we're talking about the the newspaper.
Oh, the newspaper. So I think I haven't saw it the other day. It should have been 2018. No, it was 2019 as I was waiting to graduate. 2019. Uh, is it 2019 though? I was still working with Ascana Network. So I think they were asked to submit names of girls who were doing things in tech. So like women in tech who look like they have promising careers. I don't know what criteria they were using to to select, but I was interviewed by the lady from the Daily Post. The newspaper. What matters is the news. I should have it somewhere. Like that newspaper is. I'm going to put
Yeah, right.
it.
Sentimental.
Okay, let's stick it there.
Yeah.
Just because. So I had a verbal interview with her, and it was amazing because the people who were on the like in that newspaper thing were people who've been in tech for a while. So that we had the founders, the three founders for Scanner Network, and then we had Cynthia, you know Cynthia, right?
Yeah.
And some other lady who's like big time woman in tech. I'm not sure where she works, but she's like a big time woman in tech. So it was surprising. It was exciting. I was like, oh, I get to be in a newspaper and stuff. Um, yeah, but it was mostly talking about my experience being a woman in tech and how to stay encouraged while you're in tech. So how to keep at it and just surprising, really just surprising. Like, oh, you could have picked 300 people and you picked me. So It was a fun time to be alive then. Haven't featured in any newspapers yet. They're just not ready, like coming soon, coming very
Yeah.
soon.
I
But
like
that
I like
was the,
yeah.
huh?
Oh, I was actually going to say I like the positive part, like here. So we'll obviously be expecting more like the next feature, like
More than
the
just
big
newspapers.
back.
It's going to be like everywhere. Like you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, that is Saka Sunday is, she is,
Yeah, yeah. Cool. So yeah, that's interesting. Um yeah, so maybe for the last maybe like the final question, yeah, I think we'd just like to hear from you in terms of how you deal with challenges and setbacks. So, bearing in mind to say, like, yeah, so the whole aim of our recordings on the Horizon Forum is just to help build content for the upcoming generation and those that are actually growing within different careers, just getting to learn from people that have been there and have experience from different ways. So what is maybe like what has been your approach or what has worked for you in terms of dealing with challenges and setbacks?
Sleep, just sleep. I'm joking. Just sleep, and the solution will come to you in your sleep. Uh, Genuinely, I should have known earlier. Is just don't see if you have a problem, like if you're coding and you have an error and it goes on for 1 hour and it's still not working, and 2 hours and it's still not, like at the time you're reaching 30 minutes and you can't figure it out, you could step away, like have someone look through it with you first of all, be like, oh, I've been trying. This is what, like, sometimes it's not even that you don't know, it's just you missed it while you were doing it. And explaining it to someone else helps you kind of see that this is what I should have done. Like, I'm explaining to you how I was making a cake. Like, this is the step I missed. This is what I should have done. And if that doesn't help, have someone help you, someone who knows better help you. So just surround yourself with a community that can always help. Just be willing to learn, be willing to ask. You get stuck on a semicolon for 3 nights, 3 days, 3 nights, one semicolon.
And it's not even saying I'm right here, I'm the one who's missing.
It just says, what does it say? Execution error. Could not execute your. I'm like, where?
Yeah,
Why? I've done everything you asked. Why aren't you working?
yeah,
So to just always ask for help, because it gets frustrating. It's programming. You don't know half things you're writing or half the things you're dealing with. So to ask for help is very important. And where you're not, like, just generally. This I wish I knew like 2 years ago, like 2 years or like in university. The course should have been like how to ask for help and then how to program. So like how to ask for help and then how
wow,
to work
wow.
through it.
That's
Because most of the
interesting.
things, and it's generally like most of the things you find, you were stuck on it for 3 hours, like not even 3 hours, 3 days straight. The button is not
Yeah,
working for 3 days. And it was a semicolon that you didn't see because you were too tired. If you had asked for help, say from your neighbor, to just have like a code review, to look through your code, explain what could be working, it's possible you could have found the semicolon and been like, oh, that semicolon is missing. It kind of accelerates your development process. Otherwise, ask, like, generally, regardless of what work you do, some things you're like, oh yeah, no, I shouldn't ask for help for this. I should search the internet. But if you have the problem and it's not moving forward, so you could have the light bulb moment when you're sleeping, you're like, oh yeah, that's the function that's missing. But you could also ask for help unless like the help is far. Have a community, really just ask for help, because you would develop the landing page for 3 months when you could have finished it in 1 month. So to learn how to ask for help, I think should be those boot camps they do. Number one course, how to ask for how to ask for help, how to look for answers. I forgot the question. I don't know if I even answered, but
Yeah. Actually, you definitely have. Yeah. So I think we've actually come to the end of the session, but maybe I can just give for listeners. I can just give like an overview of what you have shared and what we've covered. So I think.
didn't you ask me about my challenges being a woman in tech? I have challenges. How?
You seem to have had it very easy.
I think I have had it
You
very
seem
easy.
you seem to have had it very easy. And maybe just to mention that, yeah, just before we wrap up, just to mention, I actually began mentoring. I'm volunteering for the women in technology networks. So in technology networks, so they had reached out to get a few mentors. So I think it's been enlightening seeing uh, like talking to my mentee and seeing how difficult her journey has been and how challenging it is as well from your end, like as women and in a male dominated space. So yeah, I feel like it's actually a very big topic that unless you're ready for it or and you're strong enough to cover it like without breaking down, we could still
Oh, no,
have.
no, I won't break that. Strong, strong. I had a lot of training from being two
Yeah,
girls in class to
yeah,
being the only female so far at my workplace. It's not bad. I
yeah.
think. Let me see.
Sure, yeah, you can share something about that.
Challenges, challenges as a woman in tech. Well, I seem to have had it easy, right? Let me see. I'm thinking, not that I've probably had experiences where I'm like, oh, I'm so angry about this, but I haven't focused on them much because like I'm here now. I could make the best of that. My one thing is just to kind of like if there's a way I could have more women just willingly come to. Oh, I forgot. I volunteer for Girl Coders. So it's like an
Wow.
organization that teaches young girls how to code. So it could be the target market is like those in secondary school to those right out of school. The part is that the thing I find is the attention span to actually learn. That's why you need to have the passion for it. Like you need to want it, but I think we need more women examples to look up to so that people can have interest. Like if we have more women talking about how cool tech is, like if I come and I just tell you, oh, tech struggle, these men suck, they just suck the life out of you and they're talking over you and it's like it's too much work to have women who will be able to just inspire the next girl, be like, oh yeah, like I think like how the medical in medicine we have many female doctors, not like extremely many, but they are quite a number. So it's easy for someone to be like, oh yeah, I'd like to be a doctor. They're cool, they look cool, they look pretty sometimes, they look tired and sleepy. To kind of have that for tech, like to have more advocates that are sharing their journey, the good parts, the bad parts, but also just encouraging others ahead ones that people don't want to be in tech because of how women in tech dress, because of like, oh yeah, a t-shirt and like my sweatpants and a backpack. They're like, yeah. and you see, it's really like, will you go to a primary school and be like, oh yeah, no, I want to be like her. That one in sweatpants and the baggy jeans and everything. So to highlight kind of women who are having great experiences, because there are bad experiences everywhere, but to have more positive tech experiences that help lighten, like even when someone is coming to join that journey, they kind of feel like it's livable. Because if it's always a nightmare, like if the one thing we're sharing is the nightmare of being a woman in tech, be like, oh, you know, as the only woman at my office, there are many challenges, but highlighting those challenges more than the advantages of actually doing something I like, or what tech gives afterwards, like what it feels like to create or to come through the bag. Like you had a bag and you see the light at the end of the tunnel and you reach the light at the end of the tunnel. Like to share that experience or to have someone have that experience, I think that would kind of accelerate the number of women in tech.
Yeah.
The challenge is I can't even remember. Like last week, I was having a whole battle with him. I'm like, these men at work, this one keeps talking over me. He keeps telling me, oh, why would you name your classes like that? I'm like, no, I learned differently. So it's fine. If you think there's a better way to do it, you tell me like, oh, Daliso, use the class name Jane because spell it like this because this makes it easier for me to read. But to have someone just come and criticize your work and be like, why would you name it like that? It's very, it's kind of not encouraging. So there are those challenges where sometimes it feels like the male are competing, like they're trying to prove like, oh, I am this good and I am going to do this, and you don't know what you're doing. So there's kind of those parts. I can't say this one, because at Youth Lead, we were 2 girls, and then at Ideate, we're female, so it's female led. Anyone that comes to support me is a decision I would have made. My first experience, or my first example, would be Infertel, my new side hustle, my new side full-time hustle. Would be Infertel. Like that's like working full scale with like in a department of 5, and I'm the only female. Not bad so far, but like it's not very, I'm not easily bullied, so that's fine. I could give examples of like I went for an interview for a software developer job once, and my classmate also went for that interview. For me, they asked me a mathematical question. You know, they asked me mathematics, like basic arithmetic, not like, oh, 3x times 4. No, they were like, I think 2 plus 4. I was like, what? And I answered. I did answer. And I had gone with my laptop and there was nothing technical. And then I talked to my classmate and he says he had to open his laptop and the whole demonstration. I was like, wait, how? They asked me numbers. They asked me 2 numbers, like, oh, 6 plus 1. And you get to show that your work is, this is what you can do. So I think automatically men are given more precedence. They're like, oh no, he's the man, he knows, he kind of knows. And then women, it's not everyone, because like some give equal opportunities. In some cases, in like that one scenario I have mentioned, they kind of, it's I guess basically biases, because even when I was like at Youth Lead, I'd always choose women. I'd be like, women, 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 and then like, oh yeah, no, these men also applied, like yeah, like that. It's kind of biases, but there's always a challenge of the bias of the interviewer. So the interviewer thinks men do the job, get the job done, they do that, and sometimes your co-workers. I don't know. I don't have good examples. I really.
Yeah, I think I sort of get, yeah, like, and it's I mean, like, obviously, from the other side, it's something maybe that we might not always notice from the male side, because I mean, like, how some biases are unconscious. And yeah, I think, as you've put it, it's really important to make that first step and just begin changing the narrative, because obviously, I mean, like, if you're not, I mean, like, it's better stopping, I mean, like, if you're not helping to stop something, or if you're not helping, like, to contribute to put an end and shift in another direction, it's best not to help, like that bad um thing, culture continue. But yeah, I think it's something. It's obviously a challenge that both women and men have to, like, tackle together. Uh, yeah. So I think there's obviously more input from your end, trying to encourage more women to come on board, and I guess that also calls for more of us men as well to be um, more inclusive and open-minded in terms of how, I mean, like, yeah, and more sensitive in terms of how we interact. And yeah, I guess, yeah, certain things are like hidden biases that you don't really notice, but then at the end of
Yes,
the day, yeah,
that is very true. So I think for like women, it would be important. Like for instance, like your mentee, it would be important for her to kind of have not really go and find a posse, like a community of women to kind of have someone who relates and helps her navigate. So in whatever challenges they have, to just stand firm. Like first, if you know what you're doing, if you are wrong, it's okay to be like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Like if you don't know what you're doing, to ask for help. But to also have someone who's supportive of you and also explain to the person who's doing something that feels like a bias, like, oh, like for instance, if it's my coworker who keeps undermining my work, explain to them that them undermining me doesn't help me. It just makes me feel less of what I should be. And the
yeah,
best thing to have done is to like walk me through, help me understand why your method works best and how I can not, if I can't imitate, I can do something that works towards that direction. So we all have a common goal. But it's hard. It's hard being a woman. I was going to say it
no, I
must be
mean,
hard.
I didn't really mean you had it easy, but I think
No,
uh,
no,
the
no. I
positivity, like,
no.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's also about the mindset. I mean, like, yeah, these challenges are there, and that's true. But yeah, I think with most people that have made it through, I think they're focused more on what it is they want to achieve, which I think is what you brought out, as opposed to more of what is actually wrong about the environment. Because I mean, like, yeah, yeah. So we can only, like, make that difference if you break those barriers, and breaking those barriers obviously comes with that perseverance, and yeah, and yeah, some success in areas that people never thought possible. So yeah, which is actually nice. And I think at the end of the day, we've now sort of known who Daliso is, from
We, oh
the
wow,
modest
that's
side
nice.
to yeah, yeah, to software passionate, and her challenges on I mean, just being in a male-dominated career. And yeah, I think I think wishing you well. I don't know. I don't think I've missed anything so far, but yeah.
I don't think you have. I, we don't know. We've got a whole
There'll
life.
be part
We
three.
don't
There'll
know.
be part three or part two.
I can't wait. Come back in like six
Yeah,
months when I'm rich and famous or something.
true, true.
Yeah, this has
Yeah,
been great. My real last shout out would be to women in tech because the struggle is real. We see it, we don't see it, but the challenges are there. And it should feel lonely sometimes. You're like, oh, I can count 10 men and I'm like one woman. For instance, there's what's this? There's another degree for ALX that I was part of, and I was like in a meeting, like they were creating peer groups. Like in
yeah,
this group, you have a discussion with your mentor, and we are 10, and I was one girl, like one of 10. I should have noticed that from school, be like, oh, two of 12 or two of 50. But find someone, it could be a male, female, find someone who helps you grow through the challenges. And if something is really bad, just talk to the oppressor. Be like, you're oppressing me, you are making my growth go backwards, and I would like us to grow together. Like either way, we have one goal. If we work for Microsoft, our goal is to edit the submit button. That's it. Anything outside submit button is taking the job backwards. So to always ask for help and try. Like if you really like something, just like until you reach the end. And of course, Ideate Innovations and my business partner, Miss Ozzy, and my friends because they've been supportive. They've been there. They're like, oh yeah, guys, I'm done with programming. This sucks. It's not as great as I thought. So my friends have been great support. Have a community around that helps you grow, that helps you learn, because you are what you surround yourself with. So if you have like positivity around you, it's like, oh, it works in your favor. And if no one is really helping you grow, that's also not good. Thing. So the problem with this interview is it's one sided. Like you keep asking, I want to know. I'm like, oh my God, Joseph, what are you doing now? I'm like, this is not the time. Calm down. You can call him late.
No, I think my part will be, well, actually I was interviewed in some of the early episodes. Uh if you
Yeah.
listen to episode two, yeah, I think episode two covers my journey. Um yeah. So
Next time, I
yeah,
just
that's
want
some
it to be like
episode.
peer
But
interview. Like I ask you, Joseph, what are your challenges? As I think I know what you're doing. Audit something. I think you do like audit, IT audit, right?
yeah,
Right? Am I right? Like, what are your
yes.
challenges? Like, I would like the interview to be like we're having a conversation because this feels like, oh, Daliso, it's your time to shine now. Just tell us everything. I'm like, oh, but what about my neighbors? What are they doing?
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Well, anyway, I guess that's very modest of you, but thank you very much for your time. And maybe just to sum it up for our listeners. On the first part, what we talked about just navigating and growing your software development career. So I think you had shared about how it obviously begins with having an interest, and you gave an example of how you grew from, I mean, not just you grew from stepping outside of the classroom, uh, of course, uh, getting to use the knowledge from the classroom, but you went above and beyond that, and interacted with different communities, got that exposure, and you open to different opportunities that came along the lines of what you actually wanted. So of course you have to be open-minded, but you need to know what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And IT is obviously vast, and yeah, I think you also shared about how we always have to consult, especially in the software development space. And I think that also is something that you brought out more as you shared about the challenges within, the challenges among women who are in information technology, IT. So where you talked about uh, the biases that are there, whether they're conscious, unconscious, and yeah, and how it's actually important to speak up and consulting and identifying communities that can actually help. Yeah, thank you very much for having you, Taliso, and looking forward to having you next time. And yeah, hoping I'll be now the one that will now be interviewed.
I'll be interviewing. I'll be like, wait, you need to answer my question as well. I want to know what you think.
Yeah,
Yeah, but this
yeah. All right.
I was wondering why I had delayed to accept because he Tumelo was like, should I interview
Yeah,
you? I was like, oh, I have this. Maybe next week. But I'm glad we did it now. This is
yeah,
great. I'd like to
yeah.
come back again. But like on the other side, like I'm you and your place like this, like that.
We can actually arrange for that. We can arrange for that.
That would be
Yeah,
nice. I'd like that
so much.
very much.
Yeah. All
That
right.
would be
Have a
really.
good evening. Okay.
Thank you, Joseph. You too.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.